I'm Terrell Davis, former Denver Bronco player, played through 95 to 2001, won 2 Super Bowls, 97 and 98, was league MVP in 1998, rushed for 2,000 yards in 1998. Everything was 98. And then I was finally enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2017. So that's kind of a little bit of my resume there. I'm here partnered with the NFL Blitz. You know, it's been 25 years since this game has debuted, and it's been one of the hottest games back in the 90s. And I had a chance to partner with them, and it was a no-brainer. They've taken this game, which is, you know, one of the iconic games, and now Arcade1Up has designed this game to be the first home of NFL Blitz games. So it's been fun. I love the game because obviously growing up for me, I grew up in the era of video games, and not the ones at home, not home games. I'm talking about the arcade games where you go down to the arcade, throw your quarters in the machine, and play those games for hours. And you know, when this game came out about 25 years ago, for me, man, it was cool because it was different than any other football game that was out there. The other games are really football games, so kind of technical, where you really needed to know how to play it. And this one made it fun. It made the barrier to entry really, you know, it wasn't a barrier. You can just play it, and you can immediately start to play it well. And I think that was the key to it. It was fun. It was a little, you know, kind of over the top with the tackling and slamming and, you know, some of the things that happened in the game. But it just made the game really, really cool. Even for guys who are, you know, really football guys who just wanted something that was to the alternative. And so we're here now playing this game, promoting it, and it's available if you go to Arcade1Up.com. You can get your game right now. Holidays are coming, so it'll be a great time to go ahead and get your unit inside your house and own this beautiful console.
And worth noting too, like, you are actually in the game in NFL Blitz 2000 and 2000 Gold Edition. Is it surreal, like, being able to play yourself in a video game?
Yeah, you know, as a kid, you know, when I grew up, that was a dream. And the first games that they came out with that I had remembered was, you know, they had the college football when I went to Georgia, and they came up with the college football game, and I saw the game. I was like, wow. And I saw enough. It just had my number. It didn't have anything else. It just had our numbers. And I remember that being really, to me, that was like cool. And then when I went to the Broncos and the pros, and he started coming out with games that actually has your name, and you see your number and the team you're on. That is one of the coolest things for a kid who grew up in that space, right? You just want to see yourself on a video game. And then you always want to see what the attributes look like. I got speed, I'm strong, you know, whatever it is. But now to see me in this game and in this back, and not only am I in the game as one of the players, you know, I'm on the side of the panels, and so now my kids who have an 11-year-old and 9-year-old son, they get a chance to see that, and they get to see me in this video game, and it kind of puts things in perspective to, you know, their dad being, you know, kind of a big deal. You know, they realize it now that, man, Dad, you are a big deal. You're in video games. So that to me, that was like the stamp of approval, like the final stamp that they finally know that their dad was a decent player back in the day.
Mm-hmm. And like, not just a decent player, like one of the best running backs of that time. Like, and that brings up an interesting question. Like, NFL Blitz, it's a pretty big passing game, right? Like, it's much easier to pass in that game than it is to run. Did that ever offend you as a running back?
No, because I mean that's the way it is. I mean, efficient. I mean, if you think about it, it is technically, you know, I wouldn't say easier, but in concept, right? I mean, I'm standing 40 yards away. For me to get the ball down the field, to throw it is always going to be the most efficient way of doing it. But I still enjoy the art of running because it's so much you have to do, whether it's play calling, scheming. You got to break tackles. You got to have blocking up front. You got to do a lot of things for the running game to work. But in video games, what I also know is that even in real life now, people want to throw the balls. It's more exciting. It's more exciting. Now in this game, you can truck somebody, you can drag somebody 50 yards. That's what I love. They didn't leave that part out. They allow the running backs to have some different skill sets that allow you to have the long runs in this game. And I think that kind of makes up for the lack of run games. I guess running plays they have in the game.
I think it's interesting to talk about family here too, because like we have there are a lot of NFL legends out there nowadays. Y'all have had kids and grandkids, and you talk about like introducing your kids to the NFL Blitz. I remember recently there was an interview with Bo Jackson, and he said that he had never played Tecmo's Super Bowl.
What?
But he had a signed copy of the game, or like he had a sealed copy of the game, and he was gonna give it to his grandkids. And like, man, Bo Jackson with a sealed copy of the game that he is the best character in. That thing is worth some money.
I just still can't believe he'd never played it.
Yeah, it was wild to hear. But he has grandkids nowadays. They're going to be able to play it, and that's wild to think about. And your kids are going to be able to play NFL Blitz with you in it. That's wild.
Well, they've been playing it. I've been losing to my 9-year-old. I can't seem to beat him right now. So I got to brush up on my skills and find some cheat. Well, they have the cheat codes. I got to just study the cheat code so I can hit him with it.
It's worth noting too, like this year in particular is a very special year for you and a lot of Denver Broncos fans. The 25th anniversary of your Super Bowl win in 1997.
Yeah, 97 season, 98 Super Bowl, which gets confusing. But yeah, 98 Super Bowl, 97 season.
Y'all recently celebrated with some of your old teammates. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Man, it was fun. We had it a couple of weeks back. It was the game we played the New York Jets. And we came in town, so we had a bunch of activities for us. We had an event on Saturday night where they had the team at the stadium. We had like a dinner. And so we had then we had a panel where a couple of players were up on the panel talking. But what was wild was it felt like no time had passed. You know, even though we all obviously, you know, most of us look different. It just felt like the connection that we had as a team, like time didn't even pass. We went back to doing the same stuff we did 25 years ago with the silly, you know, jokes we play on each other, conversations we had, just seemed we pick right back up off those conversations. And then to be able to have on game day, we were honored at halftime to walk out there, have the fans cheer, and then listen, and then really just reflect on the first time we brought the Lombardi Trophy home. That was the first time this organization had ever won a championship. And to relive the moments of coming back and going to the parade and knowing what it felt like to have accomplished that feat that we had to work really hard for. And then to say, hey, we did it. You know, we gave John Elway his first championship. We were able to bring, you know, Pat Bowlen, the great late owner, his first championship. And then the city of Denver and Broncos country, all the fans out there to be able to experience that, man, it was a cool weekend. And so I guess next would be our 50th anniversary. So I think we just gotta try to keep most people around for that one. But it's good to have this thing and reflect on those moments.
You were like not an early pick in the draft for the NFL. You were like, I think it was like 196, and like that is so far down in the draft, but you ended up having such a huge impact on the sport. And I just want to ask, like, what would you say to prospective players that want to go into the NFL, that want to be in there, that ever got passed over?
It's really simple. You just got to work, man. I mean, I know that might be a, you know, kind of probably doesn't explain all of the things that go into hard work. It's just doing things and the things you don't really want to do. You got to work when the lights are out, when people are not watching you. You got to have a dream. You've got to be able to have actions that support that dream. And you just got to be ready for the opportunity. You got to be ready for your chance. And ultimately, we'll all get one for the most part. What are you going to do when you get that chance? And just be ready. And so I even with my kids today, you know, I don't know what they're going to be when they grow up, but they tell me they want to be football players. So I'm like, if you want to be a football player, a professional football player, then you got to go out there and practice. You got to go practice catching the ball. You got to practice. Even when your friends are doing something else, you got to practice and hone your skills. So that's what I would tell anybody who wants to do it. Hopefully, you know, you got to have a break or two in life, because that's just the way it is. You know, we all get a break. But I think the bottom line is have a passion for it. If you know, again, prepare yourself, be ready for that moment, And most importantly, I think, is that never ever give up on yourself. Like you got to believe, because people are going to tell you all the time what you can't do. That's nature. If people say you can't do this, you can't do that, you got to have a firm belief that you can do whatever you want to do. And if you believe that, you can just push past anybody who would doubt you. Then you set yourself up for success, and you give yourself the best. You'll give yourself the best chance at being whatever you want to be.
And there are absolutely those naysayers out there that might argue that, like, you're not as good as everyone says you are, or whatever, even if the stats say otherwise. But you were, like, at the best of your position for several years. And, like, how did you deal with, like, that chip on your shoulder? And how'd you keep the stress from getting to your head?
Yeah, I think for you just said, like, I had a chip on my shoulder. And, you know, some people use that as constant motivation, constant, and you know, it inspires them, and they need something to focus on. Like Tom Brady always says that his chip is now, you know, size of a, you know, a barrel, whatever it is. To me, I didn't focus so much on trying to prove people wrong. I just tried to prove the people who believed in me right. That's all I wanted to do. Like, it wasn't about trying to prove that, oh, the Cleveland Browns, you guys should have drafted me. I'm like, no, I want to make Mike Shanahan look good. I want Gary Kubiak to look good. I want Alex Gibbs to look good. I want my, you know, Elway to look good. I want the people who were around me, I wanted to prove to them that that they were right about me. And just in that mindset, it got me, you know, playing well. I also wanted to be accountable to people that I played with. You know, I respected the guys I played with. And as a teammate, the biggest thing that I can give them is everything I had. And so when I'm on the field, I want my teammates to say or know that, man, when I'm in the game with TD, he is going to give me everything he has. I'm not saying I was ever the most talented, because talent is sometimes talent. People who sometimes are the most talented don't work hard. And so for me, I'm like, if somebody says that I'm the hardest worker and I'm giving them everything I had and they can count on me, that's all I was trying to do for 7 years, was give them everything I had and just be accountable. Back
to NFL Blitz for a second. What has it been like getting back together with some of these other legends that you faced off against, that you played off against, that were some of your rivals in the game, coming back to support this game with some of the folks like Jerry Rice these many years later?
Yeah, Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders, Jerome Bettis, you know, Dan Marino. I think we laugh, man, when we get around each other and talk about stuff like this. It's nostalgic. It takes you back not only to the game on the field, but this takes us back to our pastime, our leisure time, and it also takes us back to kind of this world of, we grew up in games. We grew up in video games, and we can talk trash as we're playing this game, and you know, who's the best, who's not the best. We'd have like tournaments at the house playing NFL Blitz. You know what I mean? So we'd have guys that we'd sitting there, you know, back to back, having almost like a bracket and knocking people out of the bracket. So it takes me back to those days. You know, it's man, it's just, it goes on, and this game is it's a classic. It ain't going nowhere. It's back. I'm glad. And I don't know if I said it, but if you don't have yours, go to Arcade1Up.com. Got to get to it before the holiday. You cannot go through the season and not have this in your home. That's all I'm saying. This right here is going, and it's the fun of this thing. Like, again, I play with my kids, and they got homework a lot of times. I got to make sure I'm not distracting them from their homework. but really fun, and then it's educational and it's fun to play, and this is one of the best games out there. This was the game in the 90s, and it's back, so you got to get it.
A lesser known fact that folks might not know about, if I'm correct here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, about Terrell Davis, is that you spent some time as a kicker early in your career. And did you ever, how good were you as a kicker? Like, did you ever keep up with it? Would you still kick it through the uprights every now and then?
No. So when you say early in the career, it wasn't like professional kicker.
Right.
Yeah. So I kicked from the time I was in Pop Warner, 7, 8-year-old, all the way until I was in high school. And so I kick off, did field goals, and I was a straight on kicker. I didn't have this, where you come back and you go 2 steps to your left. I didn't kick like that. I was the guy that was sliding right behind the ball, and I did the old straight kick. The last time I kicked was in a game was high school. They didn't let me kick in college, and I didn't kick in the pros. But I thought I could have been a good kicker. If I had focused on just kicking, I would have been pretty good.
Speaking of college, you're an alumni of Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right.
How do you feel about the current Georgia program nowadays?
Man, we're where we should have been years ago. We've always had the top recruits. We've always had, the best boosters. We had the best fans. We're right there in football mecca in the South, in a great conference in the SEC. And we were always there. We were always knocking on the door. But thank God we got Kirby Smart. He came back to Georgia. I actually played with Kirby my senior year. He was a freshman. And to have him back in Georgia and to take the program from knocking on the door to knocking down the door is good. And so now the program is where it should have been many years ago. And I went to the championship game last year, and that was 41 years of just like getting all that years of losing and coming up short. It all just fell off. And you can tell a lot of my teammates who played with me at Georgia, we were all there, and we just had the sense that game that they won was us winning. Like we won too. And so now you throw Georgia in there as national champs, and it's been a long time. So hopefully this year they're able to repeat. It's going to be tough. It's always tough to repeat. It's always tough to win it. But they put themselves in a really good position. Have Tennessee this week, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm proud of Georgia's Bulldogs, man. We had a party last week, and we'll have another party this week with our Georgia stuff on. So looking forward to it. So
as you mentioned prior, you are in the Football Hall of Fame now. It was in 2017 in your 11th year of eligibility for the induction. What is it like to get that? What was it like to get that recognition to finally be immortalized in Canton?
Yeah, it was closure for me. I had a career that ended, and it was kind of hanging out there, not knowing how it would end in terms of Hall of Fame or not. And so for me to finally get the knock on the door from David Baker just to say you're in a Pro Football Hall of Fame, man, that was a relief. It was like, no more, debates about it, no more anything about it. But I think what it did was it validated everything that I did. It validated all the work I put in. It validated all the games I played in with injuries and tried to play through. It validated, just the belief that if you work hard, you put everything you have into it, man, that it's gonna pay off, and that's what it did. So to get that now and then to really be associated with all the names in the Hall of Fame, it's crazy. They have a luncheon called the Ray Nitschke Luncheon, and it's nothing but Hall of Famers in it every single year. And every year I go to this Hall of Fame luncheon, and it's nothing but players in there. I have the same feeling. Like, I cannot believe I'm in this room. I'm looking around. It's like a living museum of all the greats, and they're all in there with their gold jackets on. And it's like, it's crazy. It's really surreal, and to know that I'm part of that now forever. I mean, you really can't put a price on it. It's hard to explain what that feels like.
And now youngsters and other players can see you and other NFL legends and Hall of Famers in NFL Blitz.
There it is. I like how you tied that back, TJ. I like how you did that. Good job.
Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this interview with me. It has been an absolute pleasure. It is amazing to talk to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man.